I was in restaurants in Michigan where, the first time caught me by surprise. I didn't even paying attention. I met some people out. I was the last one to get there. I pull up a chair and sit down, and the wait staff came over. Remember what they said? You can't sit here. Oh, what I do? Too many people. You're number 7. There can only be 6 people at the table. Oh, sorry about that. But anyhow, we rearranged and we separated. We did our thing, right? Well, those rules are still in effect in Michigan. But apparently the governor didn't get her own notice because she was out over the weekend. She's now apologizing as Gretchen Whitmer for violating coronavirus orders in an East Lansing bar called the Land Shark. And the photographs were circulated by Breitbart online, and others have all picked up the story now. But it's just another example of, here are the rules for you, but not for me. And it brings into mind OSHA rules from the Michigan Occupational and Safety Health Administration rules are going to be withdrawn. They're going to be permanent. They're going to get withdrawn. That's good news. From the most powerful voice for business in Michigan, the Michigan Chamber of Business Brief, Jim Holcomb joining me now. Jim, good to have you here this morning.
Good morning, Steve.
These rules have been tough on restaurants, tough on a lot of businesses that are no longer with us because they couldn't survive the lockdowns from the pandemic orders and so forth. And to me, it's really quite something, to say the least, to see the governor violating her own rules. There were 13 people in the picture that was circulated, no masks, no distancing, completely in violation. And I think about the times that I was told, hey, you can't sit there, because if you do, this restaurant could get a fine. We could get shut down. The double standards to me are what I think are most upsetting to people. Your thoughts?
Well, I think you're right, Steve. I think we've all been in that situation. COVID's been hard on everybody. But, Michigan's job providers, they've been burdened with ever-changing, politically motivated orders, and they've been criticized many times by this administration and many others for not doing the right thing, and many of them are just fed up. Their businesses have been damaged. Many have closed down, like you noted. Their employees' economic standards have been hurt. A lot of mental stress on employees and business owners alike. And then to see the governor not following her own rules, it's a slap in their face. They're frustrated. They're angry. They're fed up. And for them, quite simply, enough is enough.
And, of course, this comes after we now know that the governor flew to Florida for 4 days back in March and kept that under wraps until she no longer could. We also know that she flew by private jet to the inauguration in January. So a series of unforced errors for the governor, but it really exposes the hypocrisy here. She knows, and she goes, well, I just wasn't thinking. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't make any difference if you're at a table of 6 or 8 in a restaurant. If everybody's in and everybody's there, at some point there, it makes no difference. But the real key here that we're talking about is these MIOSHA rules. They had suggested, the state and the Whitmer administration, that these rules, forcing restaurants and other businesses to do a whole host of things permanently or be under the microscope, that would have been permanently damaging, but we're able to get rid of that, yes?
Yes, we were able to get rid of it. We're very happy in the Michigan Chamber. It's a testament to the thousands of businesses who stood up and made their voice heard back on March 4th. The governor, her and her administration are proposing these permanent rules that would have been economically devastating to Michigan. But we spearheaded the Reopen Michigan campaign. We had hundreds of businesses representing hundreds of thousands of employees, more than 50 organizations, all with the simple message, the simple goal: reopen Michigan safely. That's all we've wanted. That's all we've talked about, is follow the guidelines by the CDC, follow, good science. But Michigan needed to reopen safely. Governors across this country have done it better. They've done it faster, and they've made their state more economically competitive. Unfortunately, Michigan did not have that opportunity. We're glad that it's coming to an end now, but it's far too late.
The top 10 states, funny you should mention that, Jim, the top 10 states in getting people back to work, getting back on the job, correcting the unemployment problems. The top 10 states are all run by Republican governors in that category. You look at Iowa, they reopened completely in the middle of February. Texas and Florida, notable for their reopenings. And yet we sit here, and the Back to Normal plan by the governor was scrapped, where we had to get a certain number of vaccinations to reopen. She scrapped that after the CDC changed its guidelines. But shouldn't we just reopen today? It's Memorial Day weekend coming up. Memorial Day weekend is coming, and we should just be open, shouldn't we?
That's our belief. We should be reopened. Businesses are doing everything they can. They want to keep their employees safe. They want to keep their customers safe. We have the science and data. The CDC has made their recommendations, and it's time to make sure Michigan is fully reopened. For our economic health, for our mental health, we need to be back to normal. Still making sure that we're vigilant. We're looking for problems, but cases are down. Vaccinations are up. It's time for Michigan to get moving forward. We need to stop the heavy-handed government and the constant micromanaging of our job providers. They and their employees know best how to handle their own business.
What would you suggest to these restaurants and so forth that have been fined for having too many people at a table or having too many people indoors? Now that you see the governor violate those very rules, do you think some of those fines and economic damage that came as insult to injury, if you will, should be waived? I mean, the governor did the same thing that many other people did. Maybe some of those fines and penalties should be waived. What do you think?
Absolutely. We would never support protecting someone who's purposely bad acting, but job providers, restaurants, bars across the state have done everything they could to follow these orders. And if there was a good faith mistake, if there is a good faith mistake, absolutely that fine should be wiped away. We have the governor and her administration constantly using terms like we ask for grace and please, I made a mistake. Absolutely true. We're all human. But you know what? We need to have consistency between how our politicians are treated and how our job providers are treated. You can't have rules that govern everybody except those in power.
Jim, that is exactly right. That is spot on, my friend. Great conversation from the most powerful voice for business in Michigan, the Michigan Chamber Business Brief. Jim Holcomb, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Great stuff. And I think we should be open right now. I mean, let's be honest.